Hello, I'm Professor Khalid Khan from University of Granada in Spain. Today we will talk about the age of artificial intelligence and how it is playing a role in improving or affecting research integrity in science. To discuss the topic with me, I have Dr. Luca. Doc, Luca, could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Luca Narduzzi. I am a researcher of the University of Granada, and I am actually involved in the creation of this startup that is called Review Pro. I'm very interested in this topic, research integrity, because at Review Pro we work on how to improve the scientific publications. And really, I want to discuss with this topic with you. Um, so today we are going to actually talk about it, and we can we can also see what are the main issues and the main advantages with artificial intelligence.
Okay, so we'll define research integrity first. Then we will see how research integrity can play a role in conducting the research as well as in improving the responsible publication process. And then what is the future with respect to artificial intelligence?
So, Professor Khalid, could you actually introduce us research integrity? What are the main pillars of this topic? And
Yeah, of course, before we talk about artificial intelligence, important to recognize that if we imagine that research is a building, then the pillars of the building are research integrity. The building of science stands on top of the pillars such as intellectual integrity, such as transparency, objectivity, and accountability. And there are many other pillars within research integrity. To understand where all this comes from, we first got to define what is research integrity. And here, in one of the definitions, two aspects are combined into an amalgam called integrity, research integrity. The first is moral principles. So, for example, according to the moral principle, we would know that it would be wrong to create data when it does not exist, to cheat in the data collection process, or to cheat in the consent obtaining process from the participants. And then there are professional standards. So, for example, if the data are collected with integrity and honestly collected data, should be subjected then to statistical analysis, for which already there are professional standards as to how it should be analyzed.
so, for example, the p-value is a standard in statistical
That's
analysis.
correct. The p-value of 0.05 is used as a standard across multiple disciplines in healthcare. In some circumstances, the standards say that you could modify this threshold, and those circumstances are pre-specified.
Okay, and these are the pillars. And what are the issues with this? Why? What are the historical issues with the research integrity? Why researchers should cheat or not really respect research integrity?
Okay, so the most important thing is to recognize that individual researchers, as well as institutions that undertake research, are working under what is called the pressure to publish or perish. So, obviously, institutions across the world are competing with each other,
Mm-hmm.
and individuals within the institutions and across institutions are also competing with each other. And frequently, their success is measured by the speed at which they can produce publications and the amount of citations their work receive. And this is something I've covered in other videos in our channel. But this race between institutions and individuals encourages them to cut corners or to take pathways that breach the integrity principles and standards.
Mm. Is it common or is it very common? There are scandals over there.
Well, look, at the moment, this is a hot topic discussed not only in the academic environment but also in the lay press. For example, there is a report published by the international English version of the Spanish daily El País, that there is a scandal of manipulation of citations at the University of Salamanca.
Wow. Okay, so this means it's quite widespread in the field.
Well, it is widespread, but also just because it has become known now does not mean that it did not occur in the past. In fact, I think there is a strong possibility that there has been consistently a culture of some
Manipulation.
form of manipulation in science which has gone undetected, and now it is coming to light more often.
So, I mean, when we are talking about research integrity, of course, this applies to all the different steps of research, not only in the publication.
So, so the research here, we take an example from the healthcare field, where the problem is first defined, then a protocol is written according to a particular study design, and then ethics approval is obtained, and if necessary, then subsequently consent from participants in the research project are obtained. And then data are collected and analyzed. And these analyzed data with the correct write up are submitted to the journal for publication, where the journal undertakes its own assessment. And finally, the published findings are then put together for them to be put to use in society.
Mhm.
So, if we focus on the publication process, then there are many problems inherent inside the publication process.
You're talking about historical problem. This problem already always have been always been there.
That's correct. So, for example, in the past, scientists have plagiarized or copied and pasted text without giving the original source, and this goes on even today. We have pressure to play with the rules around authorship. So people have entered the authorship list or have been excluded even when they don't fulfill the criteria. And then data have been massaged or modified or even created when none existed. And peer review process itself has been manipulated in favor or against particular scientific groups. So this type of problem has been ongoing and is coming to light. And if we look at the publication process itself, after the paper is submitted, we can see that the editorial screening and assessment occurs as the first step, and then peer review screening and assessment occurs before authors are asked to revise and submit the paper. So, despite these checks being present, because these checks in the publication uh, part of the research life cycle are themselves manipulable,
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing has been subject to manipulation with the introduction of flaws in research integrity.
So, and actually, I have a question. So nowadays there is this new tool that is artificial intelligence. No, that is the ability of a computer system to perform tasks that are similar to human intelligence. So, how this artificial intelligence is used in research, and are there any issues with that?
Okay, so obviously, until now, we've been talking a lot more about the publication process, but let's have a look at the research process itself and how artificial intelligence can contribute. So, for example, scientists can use literature searches conducted through sophisticated artificial intelligence based search engines to define their research questions and hypotheses.
Mhm.
Then they can use the writing tools that exist with artificial intelligence to draw up research protocols. And the same can be taken forward to submission in the ethical committee.
Mhm.
Subsequently, when data have been collected, they can be subjected to analysis using artificial intelligence. And once the results are available, the paper writing process can be assisted just in the same way as protocol writing process can be assisted by artificial intelligence.
And I suppose also images can be generated, the editorial process can be actually performed partially with artificial intelligence.
So when the paper arrives at the level of the journals, they can undertake their own assessment using artificial intelligence tools. And I think this is what has allowed us to capture more intelligently where manipulation is taking place. Image manipulation is one classical example
Yeah.
of where artificial intelligence has helped to define how images have been tampered with in order to produce particular results in published papers.
So the issues that actually the new challenges that research integrity that can be generated from AI tools are multiple, and there are some issues with for example, the authorship, the transparency.
Sure.
Are Yeah, please.
So look, AI is creating solutions. For example, authorship identity can be checked in the same way as our identity is checked on borders when we are traveling. The transparency element is relevant because authors in these days, under the open science agenda, are expected to submit their raw data at the same time when they submit papers. And AI can be used by journals, peer reviewers, editors, and even readers after publication to reconduct the analysis reported by authors using artificial intelligence tools. The originality and reproducibility element can be examined or re-examined at the publication level by using artificial intelligence tool to check if similar research previously exists, and if it does, is it similar or different? To what extent it is similar or different to the current work.
And what are the guidelines that are now in place for artificial? If an author use artificial intelligence, what should they do? Should they mention artificial intelligence as an author, or should they mention it in the methods?
Yes, so you can see on the right hand
Because
slide in the slide that if AI is used to assist in writing, you could say that AI is ghost author. And now AI is a technology that while it assists you, it's at the same time learning itself.
Yeah.
In order to improve itself. So in this process, there is a possibility that AI may undertake erroneous analysis.
Sure.
And this is what we call sometimes AI hallucinations. And the AI-based text that is generated may be out of context.
Totally.
So when authors first used AI for writing assistance in their scientific work, as no guidelines existed at that time, sometimes they even used AI as a co-author.
Yeah, this is
So Committee on Publication Ethics, which is a self-regulating body, came up with some recommendations that AI roles should be disclosed transparently in the publication, but not in the level of authorship. Because AI cannot take the moral responsibility that individual authors can take.
so the author, even if you use AI, the author is always responsible for what is written in the text. This is the point.
Exactly. But if any errors are introduced because of AI use, unless the author explicitly explains how the AI was deployed, their own intellectual honesty can be challenged.
Clear.
So the transparency element becomes really important in terms of use of AI in the course of conducting and reporting science. And then subsequently, obviously, the journals can use AI technology to assess the work. Now, this is your specialty, Luca. So you would like to say a few words about this?
Yes, yeah. Actually, journals, not only journals, also ourselves at Review Pro, there we are developing tools that they can assist the reviewers and the editors to find, for example, plagiarism. This has been around for many years, but this is improving a lot. Even small little plagiarisms that is not mentioning in the test, if they use specific phrases that they come from other tests, they can actually be detected, or simply statistically validate the studies, because sometimes the authors report the test and the final result, but this sometimes doesn't make any sense, and artificial intelligence can spot these errors. And as the same for peer review, if the article is in the context of the journal, if it's in the context of the field of interest. So there are many different tools that are now deployed for actually improve the ethics and the quality as well of the. It's not only the ethics, it's not only the integrity, also the quality of the articles.
Okay, so just to summarize, I think what we are saying is that AI age is there now for science. There is a need for regulation to ensure that it is deployed in an ethical and robust manner, and this is where research integrity comes in. And obviously, AI is a developing tool, so the errors it currently contains with time will hopefully be refined. And things as we go forward will become better.
Yeah, if I can say something, is it's a very powerful tool. Also, and as every powerful tool, it can be used for good and for bad. So it's really important to actually define guidelines for its correct use, because otherwise, as we see it in this text, there are many consequences, and some bad use of artificial intelligence can actually could worsen the current issues with the research integrity.
All right, Luca, thank you very much.
Thank you.